Triple H gets candid about his complicated relationship with Vince McMahon in WWE Hall of Fame speech. It was a night filled with emotion, legacy, and celebration, but one moment rose above the rest. When Triple H took the stage at the WWE Hall of Fame, fans expected the usual reflection. Tales from the road, memories of championships, nods to D-Generation X, and stories of building NXT. What they didn't expect was raw honesty. Triple H peeled back the curtain like never before, getting deeply candid about the man who gave him the keys to the kingdom, but also made his journey one of the most complex in WWE history. Yes, we're talking about Vince McMahon. What followed was a speech that had the WWE Universe hanging on every word, where Triple H opened up about the highs, the lows, the tension, and ultimately, the love behind one of the most powerful and personal relationships in wrestling history. This is the full breakdown of Triple H's unforgettable Hall of Fame moment, and what it revealed about Vince, power, pain, and the legacy they built together. The 2025 WWE Hall of Fame ceremony was already stacked. Legends like Batista, Victoria, and Paul Heyman had given rousing speeches. The crowd was fired up, emotional, and nostalgic. But when the lights dimmed, and the words inductee, Triple H, appeared on the Titantron, the energy shifted. This wasn't just another Hall of Famer. This was the game, the King of Kings, the man who had shaped the modern WWE from both inside and outside the ring. As Triple H made his way to the podium, fans erupted into a standing ovation. He looked around the arena, visibly moved, and then he began. "I don't know if I've ever been more nervous cutting a promo in my life." The crowd laughed, but behind the smile was something heavier. Triple H began his speech by talking about his early days in WWE, coming in as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, the Connecticut Blue Blood, a gimmick most didn't believe in, but Vince McMahon did. "Vince saw something in me before I saw it in myself. He gave me the gimmick, the music, the chants." He recounted his first real meeting with Vince. "He sat across from me and said, 'We're gonna put you in ruffled shirts, give you a ponytail, and make you walk like royalty. Don't screw it up.'" The crowd roared with laughter. And I didn't dare screw it up, because back then, Vince wasn't just your boss. He was the boss. But even in those early days, Triple H noted, Vince wasn't easy to please. You had to earn everything. Nothing was handed to you. Not matches, not TV time, not respect. And from the start, their relationship was based on performance, challenge, and sometimes friction. Triple H didn't shy away from addressing the lowest point in his early career, the 1996 curtain call incident at Madison Square Garden, when he, Shawn Michaels, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash broke kayfabe and embraced after a match. Vince was furious. "Everyone else left. I was the only one left behind. And Vince made sure I paid for it." Triple H spoke openly about how Vince buried him on TV, kept him off cards, and made him restart from the bottom. "For almost a year I couldn't win a match, and every time I walked past Vince backstage, he wouldn't even look at me. But that wasn't the end. Eventually, he pulled me aside and said, 'Are you still here? Good. Let's see what you can do now.' That was the moment," Triple H said, "when the real relationship began." What followed were years of grinding. Triple H reinvented himself, moved away from the aristocrat persona, and embraced his inner game. Vince began to see the transformation. "I remember the night I came through the curtain after the first real promo as the game. Vince stood there, arms crossed, just nodded and said, 'That's who I've been waiting for.'" Triple H credited Vince with pushing him beyond his limits. Mentally, physically, and creatively. He wasn't warm. He wasn't encouraging. But if he believed in you, you felt it in how hard he tested you. And with each test, Triple H got better. Championship reigns followed. DX exploded. Evolution was born. And behind the scenes, Vince started letting Hunter into the business side. Of course, the most famous turning point came when Triple H began dating, and eventually marrying Stephanie McMahon. Yeah, dating the boss's daughter. That didn't exactly make things less complicated. The crowd laughed. But then Triple H got serious. That's when things got real, because suddenly Vince wasn't just my boss. He was family. And let me tell you, that version of Vince? Even tougher. He described dinner conversations turning into boardroom debates. Holiday get-togethers filled with arguments about talent and creative. Moments where love and loyalty collided with business and ego. I fought with that man more times than I can count. But every time we clashed, I learned. I got smarter, tougher, better. When the subject turned to NXT, Triple H's pride was clear. NXT was my baby. And Vince? He didn't get it at first. He revealed the behind-the-scenes tension when launching the black and gold brand. He thought I was wasting time training guys who weren't ready. I thought I was building the future. We argued a lot. But eventually, Vince saw it. Takeover after takeover, he started watching. And one day, he pulled me aside and said, "You were right. This is the future." That moment, Triple H said, was one of the most gratifying of his life. Because when Vince admits you're right, that's rarer than a 5-star Meltzer rating. Triple H then addressed the last few years, the most turbulent time in WWE's history. The pandemic, Vince's temporary retirement, his own health scare, the sudden shift in power. When Vince stepped away, I had to carry the torch. Not as his son-in-law, not as a superstar, but as a leader. He admitted the transition was rough. There were days I thought, what would Vince do? And there were days I thought, whatever he'd do the opposite. But through it all, there was respect. Even when he came back, even when we disagreed, I never forgot who lit the path I walk on. Then came the moment that defined the speech. Triple H paused. He looked at the crowd, and he said, "People ask me all the time, what was your relationship with Vince like? And I always say the same thing. It was complicated." He let that sit. Complicated because he was my boss, my mentor, my rival, my father-in-law, and in many ways, the father I never knew I needed. The crowd was silent. We yelled. We fought. We disagreed. But at the end of the day, I loved him. And I know he loved me. The camera cut to Vince in the audience. He was sitting next to Stephanie. He looked down, emotional. For a man known for stoicism, it was a rare glimpse into his human side. Triple H smiled at him. "Vince, you didn't make it easy. But thank you for making me strong." The audience erupted in applause. A standing ovation. Triple H closed his speech by talking about legacy. His in-ring career, the championships, the rivalries, the fans. But more than that, the company. We built something here that will outlive all of us. And it wasn't just me. It was Shawn, Taker, Rock, Steve, Mick, Cena, Roman, Becky, Bianca, Cody, Seth. And yes, it was Vince. He looked out again. We argued. We battled. But we changed the world. He turned to look at Vince's fame moment. And what's your favorite Triple H memory of all time? We'll see you.